Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Cleveland Browns cut OT Kellen Dayesh with failed physical designation. The Cleveland Browns have announced the release of offensive tackle Kellen Dayesh with a failed physical designation. Dayesh was claimed off of waivers when the Pittsburgh Steelers waived him only days earlier. The Browns took a flyer on Dayesh on May 14. In exchange, they released kicker Lucas Havrizik, one of three that were on the active roster. Dustin Hopkins and Cade York remain on the team's roster. Dayesh, a 6 feet 7 inches 300-pound tackle, was not selected during the 2022 draft, signing an undrafted rookie deal with the Miami Dolphins afterward. A terrific athlete, Dayesh ran a 4.89 40-yard dash, posted a 32.5-inch vertical and 9 feet 2 inches broad jump, outstanding numbers for his size. His agility was good too. However, Dayesh had curiously short arms for his height at only 32 3/8. His vertical jump covers more ground than his arms as an offensive tackle, which is atypical. Dayesh has spent time with teams like Dolphins, Chicago Bears, and Pittsburgh Steelers. He spent last season on the practice squad of the Steelers and signed a reserve/futures contract to be part of their off-season program before waiving him earlier in the week. The Browns would have been his fifth team. The reason people keep looking at him is because of his size and athleticism. If Dayesh is able to get healthy enough to pass a physical, there will be a team that is interested in taking a look at him. For now, the Browns will look elsewhere and have an open roster spot. They could theoretically bring back Havrizik to deal with their newfound kicking shortfall. Teams never know when they could need three. More likely, the Browns will look to bring in another position player. The Browns have a few positions that might benefit from additional competition, including linebacker and tight end. Perhaps even safety. However, the Browns may simply look to add the best possible option to increase the competition on their roster. One of the reasons Dayesh made sense is the team is currently going through organized team activities and are being patient with the recoveries of tackles Jack Conklin, Jedrick Wills, and DeJuan Jones. All three tackles are coming off of season-ending injuries. Until those players are cleared to begin working on the field, it makes sense to give new offensive line coach Andy Dickerson more players to work with, potentially finding someone they really like. The team signed undrafted rookie Lorenzo Thompson out of Rhode Island and added Rame Baitika as part of the NFL's International Pathway program. Both participated in the team's recent rookie minicamp. Nigerian-born, Baitika didn't play in high school or college, but the Browns are already his third team. He started his career as part of the International Pathway program in 2022 with the New York Giants. He was on their practice squad that year. He repeated that process in Chicago with the Bears. Now, 24, the 6 feet 8 inches 315-pound tackle hopes to start gaining traction with the Browns. 5 for Friday, the schedule's tough, but Steelers will compete. Was somebody in the league office angry with the Steelers? That's all that can be guessed after the team's 2024 schedule was released Wednesday night. We knew the schedule was going to be difficult just based on the opponents the Steelers were slated to play. Per last season's records, the Steelers faced the third most difficult schedule in the league. But the way this schedule was set up, it could make things even more difficult. For the second year in a row, the Steelers are one of a handful of teams that have a 4-day turnaround. The first comes after they play the Ravens November 17th. 4 days later, they travel to Cleveland for a Thursday night game on November 21st. The second comes, once again, after a meeting with the Ravens on December 21st. December 25th, the Steelers will then host the two-time defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs. You'll also notice that the Steelers are playing 3 AFC North teams in that mix. That's because all 6 of their AFC North games will come in the final 8 weeks of the season. It marks the first time since the league realigned in 2002 that a team doesn't play a division opponent until Week 11 or after. And the other two teams the Steelers face in that stretch are the Chiefs and Eagles. Kansas City has won the past two Super Bowls, including defeating the Eagles in the championship game 2 seasons ago. The Steelers also don't have their home opener until September 22, as they begin the season with back-to-back road games, first at Atlanta and then at Denver. That marks the first time since the 1999 season that the Steelers have been scheduled to open the season with back-to-back road games. It's probably not exactly how I would have drawn it up, but we've got to do the best we can, said team president Art Rooney too. On the positive side, we've got some high-profile, marquee games with the Cowboys and the Chiefs on Christmas Day, a couple of other prime-time games. We'll be playing in front of a big audience most of the time, which is a good thing. A lot of the division games are at the end of the schedule, so it will be an interesting stretch there toward the end. The eyeballs are always on the Steelers. And Rooney is correct that the finishing stretch will be interesting. The Steelers went 5-1 in AFC North games in 2023. Over the past 8 seasons, the Steelers' winning percentage within the division is nearly 72%. They're 12-4 against the Bengals, 11-4-1 against the Browns and 11-5 against the Ravens in that span. So, they do have a handle on how to play against their AFC North opponents. And that's a credit to head coach Mike Tomlin. The Steelers improved their roster this offseason. They've got the players to compete. And it's Tomlin that gives them a chance to maneuver their way through the pitfalls that the 2024 schedule presents. To describe it in his own words, he's a been there, done that guy when it comes to getting his teams prepared to play on short weeks or other challenges. Yeah, I think so, Rooney said. Mike does a good job of getting guys ready. There are no excuses in terms of what day of the week you're playing. He doesn't allow for that, or the time of the day. You just have to be ready to go when the time comes. That doesn't make it any easier. Over their final 8 games, the Steelers play 6 against teams that were playoff teams a year ago. And the team that doesn't fall into that category, the Bengals, is one of the favorites to win the AFC this season with quarterback Joe Burrow back healthy. The Steelers knew they would have to play those teams at some point. They just probably didn't think they would have to face them all in a gauntlet to finish the season. ESPN predicts Steelers make trade for sleeper wide receiver. The biggest roster need of the Pittsburgh Steelers at this point is wide receiver. We love the addition of Roman Wilson via the draft, but our confidence in the mishmash of veterans the team signed doesn't inspire confidence. ESPN speculated on some moves teams could still make this offseason, and for the Steelers, they predicted a trade between the Steelers and Tennessee Titans to bring in wide receiver Treylon Burks. Here's what ESPN said about Burks. Another player buried on a depth chart, Burks has been a victim of unrealistic expectations and bad timing. The Titans essentially drafted him as the replacement for A.J. Brown after trading the star wideout to the Eagles on draft day in 2022, setting the bar for Burks as an immediately impactful wideout. It hasn't panned out, because of injuries to Burks and upheaval at quarterback. 5 different players have thrown him passes over his first 2 seasons. Burks has appeared in 22 games over his first 2 seasons with 15 starts. Burks has 49 career receptions for 665 receiving yards and only 1 touchdown. Injuries have seriously hampered Burks' production, but even when healthy, Burks has underperformed and not lived up to the first-round hype. If the Steelers wanted to work a deal for Burks, it would have to be at a nominal cost to the Steelers and take nothing into consideration about him being a former number 18 overall pick. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Treylon Burks? Leave your opinion in the comments.